welcome back.
Welcome. Oh no.
Yeah,
It's an odd. It's an even one. You're good. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
My bad. Go ahead. Restart. Go ahead.
Welcome back. Yes. Welcome back to Dad's Meet World, where we are looking back at our favorite show from the 1990s, Boy Meets World, episode by episode, where we are at an even-numbered episode this week. And I am Dad number 1, Brett, joined by Dad number 2, who's very excited to hop on the mic with us. So excited. He hopped right in. How you doing, Tyler?
Sorry, it's Tyler. I'm good. Just having technical difficulties on my part, so don't worry. And I wasn't recording at the time, Brett, so we could just edit all that out. We don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Well, let's start right over then.
No, let's just keep it going, Brett. We don't got time for this nonsense.
I got it all anyway. Well, Tyler, how are you doing other than the technical difficulties on your end?
I'm doing okay. It's early morning for us. We've never recorded this early in the morning before, so I am going to be honest. I am not a morning person. I can fake parts of being a morning person, and I can have energy, but I am not a morning person. I mean, like, you've seen me before. Like, I'll get up, I'll make breakfast, I'll do a bunch of stuff, and then I need to, like, crash and shut down for a few minutes.
Understandable, yes. Well, we will try our best not to make this a long episode. Spoiler alert, I enjoy this episode, but we won't keep it a long run-on episode. Yes, it is early morning as we record, good-looking people. I'm taking the week, actually this weekend, next week off, just enjoying a little odd downtime. And it's homecoming week for my high schoolers. We have spent a fair amount of money getting Toby ready for his first homecoming dance. Yes.
Nice.
Do you realize how expensive ties have become?
I've noticed for myself, because I've been like, oh yeah, let's go grab a quick cheap tie, and there are no cheap ties anymore.
Yes, I don't wear ties much anymore. I've never spent more than $20 on a tie. I have, like, I don't know, 15 ties hanging in my closet. I honestly can't remember the last time I wore a tie. And so Kelly took Toby out last night to get a tie. He's got a green suit. He wants a purple tie. He's like the inverse Joker. So he still needed a tie. He wanted shoes. And he realized while he was out, he needed a belt. So they went in to look for a tie. And they went to a couple different stores. They couldn't find a tie for less than $40.
I believe that.
And she told me about it, and my jaw just like hit the floor. I'm like, I've never spent more than $20 on a tie. Like, I realize that this is verging on back in my day territory, but still. Just wow. Sorry, good-looking people. I'm old.
Yeah, you are.
Well, I think that's enough of back in my day talk. What do you say we get into our episode this week, Tyler?
I agree. I'm really interested in this whole T Swift and Travis Kelce situation, and clearly things are developing more and more and more.
Anyway, on to episode 8.
Okay, but can I just make one comment real quick? Because before
go ahead.
we started recording, we're getting ready for the day, and my wife just looks at me and goes, "Why is my feed covered in nothing but this Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift nonsense?" And I said, it's probably because we literally are inundated with social media, news people, and the 24-hour paparazzi stuff, and sports is a 24-hour business, like news business. Like, there's just, it's almost like there's so much news that there's no news, and we only cover the dumb stuff. Like, who cares if two adults are in a new relationship? Although, one of my favorite trends right now on the internet is from 2 weeks ago when wives and girlfriends kept saying to boyfriends, husbands, dads about Taylor Swift putting Travis Kelce on the map, which makes I watched like 10 of them, and I was like, it's still good every time. Just watching men getting so angry.
Yeah, I watched one where a wife did that to her husband, who happens to be a producer for a fantasy football podcast.
Nice.
He just initially he kept it together, but the longer it went on, he's just like got more and more. Just the disbelief was hilarious.
Uh-huh. Well, in your fantasy podcast, that's all you talk about, right? That's the big news in the NFL.
The manager who changed his name away from Taylor Swift has now changed it back to all caps. Taylor Swift has ruined football.
Nice. But again, Brett, I will say, and we've talked about this before, if this was a female or if this was a man trying to come into a new world, no one would care about it whatsoever. George Clooney can date all the models, and so can Leonardo DiCaprio, but the moment that Taylor Swift decides to date a football player, everything is ruined now.
George Clooney dates the model, nobody bats an eye. Taylor Swift dates the tight end, and everybody loses their mind.
That's essentially what it is.
Anyway, all you Swifties, enjoy your NFL. Zach Wilson is not a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes.
But he had a halfway decent game one time.
He had a pretty good game, all right, up until the end there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know who also had a good game?
Richardson.
Mr. Feeney. Let's do this thing.
All right, so episode 8 of season 3, Rave On. Eric and Cory decide to throw a rave, but they pick the worst possible date to have a party, an illegal party. The same day as their parents' 20th wedding anniversary. By the way, I don't know how illegal it is if you put a deposit down to rent out a restaurant. This episode was written by Jeff C. Sherman. This is actually the 7th of 14 episodes he will write. He wrote episodes such as On the Fence, The Fugitive, Notorious, Sister Teresa, Home, Shallow Boy, and a bunch of others. Directed by
pretty
David.
Heavy hitters.
Oh yeah, I mean I looked through his list and I can't really list any of them that I didn't enjoy. Directed by David Trainer, he directed nearly all of season 1 and 2, and this is the first of his 4 season 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. Originally aired November 3rd, 1995, currently enjoys an IMDb rating of 7.8. And now, good-looking people, it is time for your favorite game show.
Vast emotional damage.
Yes, vast emotional damage. And if I can get the game show music to start. Yes. Tyler. Last week, our episode had a Nielsen rating of 16.8. Good looking people, that is 16.8 million people watching at home. So, Tyler, where do you think this episode fell on that chart of Nielsen viewers watching at home with their little boxes tracking?
Oh, I think this is a popular one. There's some popular people in it. Let's go with 19.
19 is the vote. And your result is... That gaseous sound means you are incorrect. It actually dropped by 0.1. 16.6 million viewers.
What a shame.
I know. It's November Sweeps Month. Well, here's the thing. They did not promote their stunt casting.
That's a mistake.
Well, there's a reason for it, and I'll get into that in case you didn't end your deep dives, but they did not promote their stunt casting.
It's weird.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get right into it. So we open in our teaser in the high school with Mr. Feeney tearing down a massive banner advertising an illegal underground rave.
Yeah, if you're doing something that's quote-unquote illegal, why are you promoting inside the school?
Now, I can understand with high schoolers wanting to be all against the normal convention of, hey, let's do something illegal and wrong, but still, it's just...
But also, like, throwing a party is throwing a party. It's only illegal if there's things that are illegal, or you're doing it, like, on school grounds.
Yeah. And so Mr. Feeney tears the banner down, and we get a little interaction with him. So let's check it out here.
You know, Mr. Feeney, just between you and me, it's stuff like this that really makes you unpopular.
Sure. And it's lonely at the top. But I save a lot of money on call waiting.
What do you have against throwing an illegal rave?
Hey, what is a rave anyway?
A rowdy underground party. Get hip, Mr. Matthews.
Topanga, do you think I'm unhip?
Of course I don't. Oh, you left your earmuffs at my house.
So Mr. Feeney is quite aware of what a rave is. Cory is sheltered, and he left his earmuffs at Topanga's house. There we go. I love that get hip, Mr. Matthews. We all know I love Mr. Feeney sass.
There's a good word to describe Cory in these situations, and that is Cory's not unhip. He's just kind of lame.
Yeah.
Like, there's a part of him that's okay with not knowing everything until it's a problem with his, like, when people call him out on it. It's like, oh, I should know what these things are?
Yeah, he's kind of the living embodiment of ignorance is bliss, and he's fine with it. Until he finds out that Eric is the one throwing the rave, and he finds out through Sean. And we find out that Cory...
Okay, if Sean knows that his brother is throwing the rave, like, why wouldn't he have said something to him earlier?
Maybe Sean assumed that Cory knew. But we find out Cory feels like Eric hasn't talked to him since 5th grade, which, based on the agreement that Eric made Cory sign when he started high school, I can understand why he feels that way, but it's a little bit of adolescent boy being adolescent boy dramatic.
All right, let's open the soapbox up real quick, Brett.
All right.
One of my complaints about this show is when they have these episodes that are like, Cory doesn't know his brother. Cory never has time with his brother. Except, then we have episodes like this where they are together, they are doing stuff, and plenty other episodes where they're doing stuff together, and they're, that Eric's, his best friend is essentially his brother and Sean. I don't understand how this show can justify... those two never do anything together when they do stuff together. They used to go to baseball games together. And I get this show doesn't care about context. It's all about what episode they're doing at each moment. But, it's not like Eric is not involved in his life. Are they the closest of brothers? No. But you know who normally are? Brothers that are, a year or two apart from each other who literally are always doing stuff together. When you have a bit of an age gap, I know people don't think that 3 years is a huge age gap, but that's still a gap. When you're dealing with stuff as a teenager and your kid brother is still watching Power Rangers, it's hard to relate. And then when you're getting into driving cars and your kid brother is still into Power Rangers, it's hard to relate.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I don't fault Eric.
You throw the party of the year, and I don't know about it. How do you think that makes me look?
Short.
Yeah, so Eric doesn't want Cory's help. He doesn't want Cory involved. He wants to make his mark. But Cory is begging to be involved.
For once, you and I could actually do something together. The two of us, the Matthews brothers. I mean, think how proud Mom and Dad would be.
Hey, they can never know about this party.
Oh, and who would they hear about it from?
All right, you're in.
Yes.
Or, look, you can't say a word to anybody about this.
You got it.
Okay.
Sean, guess who's the one to lose?
But again, why can't they know about this random party he's throwing? What's actually illegal about it?
Yeah, but we'll go along with the inconsistency of it. But it's really I like how Cory goes from begging to all of a sudden having the upper hand with, well, who would they hear it from?
Yeah, pretty sly.
He's quick on his feet there.
I will say that it's interesting to me watching in this episode how Cory goes from not knowing anything about the party to essentially being in charge of the party, and Eric is just like a figurehead.
Yes.
Like Cory literally out of nowhere is like, "Yep, Chubby's on board. I'm gonna take the deposit over, and you know these things are happening. I'm taking care of X, Y, and Z." And Eric's like, "Yep, I'll take care of balloons."
Yeah. Speaking of Chubby, he's on a cruise to Mexico. So
Yeah.
we got Chubby takes the deposit. He's aware of the grave, but Cory walks into the living room to start our next act, and Chubby's on a cruise to Mexico, so he's not going to be aware of what's going on. So there's a little inconsistency there too. And
You almost wonder if the deposit is just to pay people off to let them inside the building.
yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with he gave a deposit to the kitchen staff who were going to be there. And we get a nice little runner here.
Because who are we?
The Matthews brothers.
That
I like that
played
little-
on Disney Channel
Yes, it did.
for years.
That was a big anchor for their advertising campaign. Yes. And then we get a visitor at the door. Jedediah Lawrence is back, and we
Same
get
actor.
we get same actor, and we get some consistency and some continuity as a luthier. He is dropping off, and some continuity with Alan's tastes and his habits. He's dropping off Amy's gift for Alan for their 20th wedding anniversary. He has made a guitar for Alan.
I mean, he's mostly made a guitar case that a guitar just
Yeah.
happens to hang out in.
The guitar, it's a good-looking guitar, but it is not finished yet. He spent a little too much time on the case. And I need to find a way to work this quote into my daily life more.
Mr. Lawrence and I need to discuss reality.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I
they're
love
gonna-
that line.
Yeah, Amy and Jedediah are going to go into the kitchen and have a chat about reality. But it's... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess, I take this almost like a hometown discount for them, family friends discount.
Well,
He's
their
made
kids
guitars
are
for the
dating.
stars. So, I get that, he maybe wasn't thinking as he was making this guitar, because he had other guitars he was also making, and then he thought he had more done. He got there this is not done as much as I thought it was.
Yeah, and he is kind of a hippie, and he did used to run the Unicorn Sasquatch bookstore or whatever it was. I can never remember. But it's at this point that they realize, Eric and Cory, that they've planned the rave for the same night as Alan and Amy's 20th wedding anniversary. But then we get Gordy and Alan coming in the side door with the new...
Gordy, returning character.
Exactly. Although last time he wasn't Gordy. What was he? I have this in my notes here. Last time Gordy was played by someone else. He was Norm last time. But still, same actor. Gordy's back. Different actors, same character, we'll say. They're installing a new, not technically a hot tub, it's a whirlpool tub. And they're
Tomato.
Yeah, it's the what do they call it here? Here we go.
Turbo Deluxe Sunset Tsunami Super Spa.
Yeah, this baby's got more jets than the Canadian Air Force.
Oh, for you and Mom, huh?
No, boys, when you're 20, it's for romance. At your dad's age, it's a bubbly place to read.
Hey, you're older than I am, Gordy.
And very well read.
Which,
yes.
okay, 1 second, Brad, because I've renovated my whole house. Mm-hmm. And we've done almost everything except for finish a few bits and pieces. But you can't just take any sort of thing that's going to be dealt with water and just take it upstairs and 5 minutes later, all set to go. Like,
yeah, this is definitely
especially
TV
plumbing.
magic.
Yeah, plumbing is one of those things that, like, I can't tell you how many times that we just sat there. We're like, we have to wait to see if it drips. We have to wait to see if it drips. And it's like, we're dying. We need to do stuff. It's like, yes, we have to wait to see if it drips. There's just so many things you have to do that you can't just take a tub upstairs and just set it in there. Unless they literally have already done unless this is like they took it upstairs, they got all the measurements, got everything good, made everything set, they took it back down, finished everything, so everything is finished except for literally taking it back upstairs, putting it in, hooking it up, but you still have a couple of small things you have to do after that. So it would still be like a day before they could use it after install.
Yeah, I always assumed that they had already gotten everything they needed done, ready to just drop it in. They'd already done their measurements. They already knew what exact size they needed. They had all the connections ready to go. I mean, Gordy, based on what he's wearing, I'm assuming he works for the store they got it from. But even
or is
just
the plumber who did everything.
Yeah, even just the caulking alone, though, would need to set for hours before you want to run any water in or near it. But yes, definitely a little TV magic, a little episode's going to episode that anyone's going to be in there soon. Yeah. But they head upstairs, and we get another little chat between Eric and Cory.
Did you hear that, Eric? Mom and Dad's 20th anniversary. How could we have forgotten?
Well, we weren't at the wedding.
Well, we gotta get him a present.
With what? We put all our money into the rave.
Well, then maybe we should cancel it.
No, we can't cancel Mom and Dad's anniversary.
I meant the rave.
Oh, now you're talking crazy. Get that.
So Eric and Cory are going to try and figure out how to make this work. And we get to be introduced to a stranger at the door who we discover soon is...
Reginald Fairfield.
Reginald Fairfield, who is played by Davy Jones in his first and only appearance on Boy Meets World. He sadly passed away in 2012. 43 acting credits to his name. He's known most for his role within the band The Monkees. Others include Coronation Street, The Farmer's Daughter, The Brady Bunch, the new Scooby-Doo movies, My Two Dads, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Hey Arnold, SpongeBob SquarePants, Phineas and Ferb, and others.
This is one of the weirdest characters ever introduced into the show.
Yes, he is the ultimate mooch. He was on a backpacking trip through Europe. Nice little callback. At one point, we did hear a little bit about this backpacking trip that Alan and Amy took, I think last season when Eric was talking about one. And Amy talks about how he led them. Alan says, no, he followed us, and now he's picked up the trail.
Mm-hmm. So much about this character has been said without being said.
Oh, yes. And honestly, it's perfect casting. Davey just plays it so straight, and I love Reginald Fairfield.
Reginald Fairfield.
It's a
Yeah, it's
fantastic
also-
runner.
Right. Well, it's also like it allows for oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his actual name right now. Ben Savage. Sorry. So this is gives Fred's
Ben.
this gives Ben Savage a chance to like be the best version of himself, which is just mimicking everyone else around him and doing it perfectly.
Yes. I love that little quirk there where Reg talks about, you said if I were ever in the States, there'd be a couch with my name on it. And Cory just points at the couch and says, Dad, look.
Reginald Fairfield.
Yeah. Cory is basking in this chaos, and it's probably one of my favorite parts of the show. Like, he's just like, yes, it's Reginald Fairfield.
Oh, yes. This Reginald Fairfield, Cory does it like 4 different times in the episode. I clipped it every time. It's going to live on my soundboard in perpetuity. It's going to be a ringtone on my phone. I just got to figure out who I'm assigning it to.
Nice. Ooh,
So,
have you signed one to Sarah?
I haven't. That should be it. She
There you go.
never calls me, but every now and then I get a text from her in the threads. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're in the kitchen. They're looking through pictures, and we get this interesting interaction that I got to share with you, good-looking people.
Hey, who's that sexy babe in that wet tank top? She's pretty. Oh my God.
Cory
Yeah.
just saw a photograph of his mother.
Okay, but pet peeve of mine. I get the joke, and it's a funny joke. It's a great joke, and also teenagers don't pay attention. But if I've seen pictures of my mom her whole life, I would recognize her immediately in any picture that is out there of her. Like, the only time I'm ever confused is times when her and her sister have similar looks, because they would do that every now and then. But like, I know it's her.
Yeah, I've seen enough photos of my parents that I could pick them out of a lineup pretty easily when they were younger, but apparently it's a thing where there are people who find their parents pretty darn attractive when they were younger. If you've ever heard Taylor Tomlinson and her stand-up...
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. If you're a younger person, good-looking people, I don't necessarily recommend it. But if you're an older, good-looking person, you can probably appreciate it. So Eric comes in. He's an idiot. He's on the phone. And he lets it slip that there's a secret party. He thinks he saved the day. But Amy heard everything. And we get a nice little slap on the forehead from Cory. And Amy and Alan.
I was like, Eric thinks he saved them from the fact that there's a rave, and they don't know anything about the rave. And it's like, no, but now they think this.
Alan and Amy are talking in the living room, and they think that Cory and Eric have planned a secret anniversary party for them.
Which, of course, they do, because that's what these two are acting like.
Yeah. And apparently they forget it every year. They don't even get them a card or anything. Of course they're going to think that. Eric walked in the kitchen on the phone talking about a secret party. Not a secret rave, a secret party.
Right.
Yeah. And Cory, of course, is back in the doorway, and he hears it. So he knows that they know, or they think they know. And so we get Cory wants to cancel the rave and run a party for Alan and Amy instead. And Eric agrees begrudgingly. So they're going to try and figure out how to do this. Cory's actually going to stay up all night trying to call around and get guests. And we're going to get a nice little interaction the next day at school with a teacher or two here.
Mr. Turner, gosh, that sounds so formal for a guy who's almost family.
You know, you guys never just come out and ask for a favor, do you?
It's not our way. Anyhow, my parents are always saying how much they like you, and with their anniversary just around the corner, I am sure they'd love to have you at their party.
Sure, why not? When is it?
6 hours, no jeans, bring a present. Mr. Feeney! Hey, what are you doing tonight?
Hanging with Sean Hunter at the mall.
You know, Mr. Feeney, that is just the kind of sense of humor that makes a guy the life of a party, okay? Mom and Dad's anniversary, 8 o'clock, Chubbies.
George, I thought I lost you.
Yes, well, the best laid plans.
Well, Reginald Fairfield, what are you doing here?
Well, your kind neighbor, Mr. Feeney, saw me over the fence and invited me for lunch.
I did not. I merely said, good morning. Are you staying with the Matthews?
And here I am.
Okay, what in the 90s nonsense would possess a British man to just walk into a school and just assume that the principal has all the time in the world to spend time with him?
I'm going to assume good-looking people don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that he has a mental disorder or that he has anything in that vein. I'm thinking brain damage.
Yeah, could be. I mean, he could just be hearing the things he wants to hear.
Yeah. And the way he dresses, he's definitely more well off. I mean, he sponges, but he's got like the ascot, he's got the crested blazer. I mean, he's coming from a well-off background somehow. But he's like the ultimate mooch too. So I mean, yeah, he's either brain damaged, not disorder or anything like that. Either damaged, or he's just so disconnected from reality he just hears what he wants to hear.
I mean, if he is from a well-off family, it could just be he can't take no for an answer.
Yeah. So he's gonna, and then he
doesn't have to work, so he just kind of roams and does whatever he feels like at any given moment. Yeah, so
he just, you look like nice
there are
people.
those people out there.
You. Oh yes,
yeah.
there are. Yeah.
But yeah,
he's gonna tell me for lunch.
But it's also like, at no point could you do this today of just be like we talked about this before. No random adult can just walk into a school anymore. Like, there are like, to get my child either to or from school requires like TSA style, approval.
Pat you down, cavity search.
Right.
Yeah. I got to show my ID to sign my kid out. Well, I'm supposed to.
Nice.
They've let me do it without it a couple of times. And then the next time when I don't bring it in with me, I don't get in trouble. The person who signed them out without me gets in trouble.
So you got someone in trouble.
I did. Although, now that I think about it, it's the same person. So, yes, Reg is going to go sit in on Feeney's classes with him. And we're going to get Topanga and Sean have joined in to help out with the plans. Sean paid someone $6 to jump out of a cake.
Can we just talk about for a moment that Sean and Topanga are only literally here just to be like, hey, we did a couple of tasks so you didn't have to do them. And that's really it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, they show in, here are the words we need to say to you, and then they leave. Like, this is a weird episode where it's all taking place around the Matthews' drama and how people around them are affected.
Yeah.
And a British guy.
Yeah,
me too.
A plucky little British guy. And, of course, we mentioned Eric with the balloons. Cory's a little relieved until he realized they say, Happy 20th, Amy and Ellen. But he's going to do it all himself.
Okay, let's be real, though. If it was just an E, everybody would have a Sharpie, and everybody would just be...
Just get a white Sharpie, blow them up, and then just add a line.
Uh-huh. That's all you're doing.
Yeah. So there's a sign that instead of tearing it down for the illegal rave, someone just threw up a canceled over top of it. A couple of girls are complaining that whoever canceled it was lame. And
no guts.
Yeah, I know. The girl who has the speaking part is Marissa. Veronica de la Cruz is the actress. First and only time we'll see her on Boy Meets World. And it's actually her first credited role on camera. She only has 10 acting credits to her name, including Married with Children, Moesha, VIP, and others. We have not seen her in front of camera since 2014. Did not have a long or storied acting career.
But can we talk about real quick, Brett, about his reasoning why to cancel the rave?
Yes, we can. Because maybe he had a good reason. Maybe he was...
Well, maybe he had a good reason. Maybe he was doing something nice for his mommy and daddy.
I love that he still calls his parents mommy and daddy. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the whole show, he always he refers to them as mommy and daddy. He never he'll refer to them as mom, dad, father, mother. But for the most part, when he is his true essence, his reference to them is mommy and daddy.
Yeah, they're just mommy and daddy to him. And I love it. It's just, it's wholesome.
Yeah. Sorry, I was about to take over. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. So the next thing we see is Cory and Sean and Topanga walking up to Chubby's. One of them's got a cake. They're so happy that everything's going to work out, and they see a line of definitely not their planned party guests at the door because Eric threw the rave after all.
Yeah.
And we get Frankie the bouncer.
I love Frankie the bouncer.
Yes, I do too.
Makes me so happy.
$10
cover charge.
Grandma.
That means you ain't live.
Oh yeah, and I love his bit with Cory, where Cory hands him the list of people that only they are allowed in. Cory's not.
You're not on the list.
What do
Frankie,
you think of?
Forget everything I've said.
Everybody in. I love Sean's party gear. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, Sean is there for the chaos.
Yeah, he is. But do you like his vest and his hat combo?
Oh, yeah. It's very 90s.
Yeah.
It's very, very 90s.
What are your thoughts on Sean's plan to get the girls who are chocolate wrestling out of the kitchen?
Really was hoping we'd avoid this subject, Brett, because I get the joke, but why?
My only reason for bringing it up is he invokes a really big spoon. I don't see a practical reason for a really big spoon. That's all.
Gotta have a joke, Brett. If we don't have a joke, no one's gonna laugh. If we don't have a joke every 5 seconds, how will they know it's a comedy?
Yeah. And so Cory gets up on stage to try and convince everyone in the crowd to that they got a theme. It's an anniversary. It's a surprise party. The next couple of people down the stairs, we're gonna jump out and yell surprise.
I love this fake out.
But it's Feedy and Turner.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is why I never come here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's good. I can't see Feeny at Chubby's.
No, but also, what I appreciate about in this moment is that, Cory's still trying to make it happen.
Cory is the one of the two that really wants to make this happen. He realizes he feels guilt. He really realizes that they've screwed up, and he wants to make something happen.
Yeah. Brett, we need to address the Wanda situation, though.
Yes, Eric has happened to find a girl that he's going to spend the rest of his life with? Wanda.
There's a girl from a different school that he's like, this is Wanda. She is beautiful. That's what I know about her. And that's all we know until the end of the episode.
She doesn't even go to our school. And let's skip ahead to the end here.
You see, I knew this would all work out. Worked out for you, and it worked out for me. Guys, I want you to meet the woman I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
We've met. Meet your cousin, Wanda.
Eric has fallen for his cousin.
Now, do you think... Okay, again, I get the joke. We gotta have the joke, gotta end on a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think she knew that she was cousin and she just kept messing with him?
I think there's a very good possibility with the fact that she doesn't react the same way.
Correct. She doesn't say a word this episode and does not react for a moment to anything.
No, I mean, she actually kind of has a big grin when Eric gets so disgusted.
Yeah. I mean, she could have been a victim of the dark time period when Eric said that girls were gross and had cooties and all that jazz.
It could be the long con to get back at him, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe she had zits at one point. He made fun of her, and now she's pretty, and now she's rubbing it in his face. Who knows?
Yeah. Could
it's
be.
It's not our ways.
No. But yes, that's Eric and Wanda.
I like how Turner, though, when he meets Cory, he goes, "Oh, by the way, there'll be a $10 cover charge for English tomorrow."
Yes. So we find out that Alan and Amy are upstairs waiting to get in. Cory runs upstairs. Frankie is not letting them in because they're not on the list.
Not on the list. You can't let them in. They're not on the list.
Forget everything I said. Everyone in. And Cory's going to admit everything, but Eric comes up, schmoozes them, go downstairs.
Ah, you caught us.
You caught us. So they go downstairs, they schmooze. Eric's trying to convince them that all the people they don't know are family. Daddy, does family mean nothing to you?
Yeah, right?
Feeney comes up to Cory, congratulates him on the party. Everyone's raving. You're not going to tell Mom and Dad, are you? No, as long as that person with the mohawk doesn't touch me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mr. Feeney. So,
hey, you with the mohawk. Stay away from that man.
Yeah. So Alan and Amy really want to know who these...
Don't touch him. I was corrected.
Yes. So Alan and Amy are really confused about who these other two guys are. They just really don't recognize them. And Eric convinces him that they're nephews. Apparently, Alan had a falling out with their dad, and so
Uncle Howard.
Yeah, Uncle Howard. Alan's trying to. He goes up, throws an arm around each of them. Guys, whatever happened between me and your dad, it was all my fault. And he's picking up that they just have no clue what's going on.
I'm really frightening you now, aren't I?
Okay, but this is the thing I like about Alan. He has an awareness immediately of, I'm frightening you, I'm sorry, I'm walking away, and immediately looking at Amy like, red flags, there's a problem, we need to talk to each other immediately.
Yes. And with... And that has always been one of the things that I love about the way that that Alan and Amy are written. They're not the stereotypical parents who don't know. They have smarts. They know what's going on. And so we get to the...
Honey, having a good time at our party?
Oh, yeah? Yeah? You?
Oh, yeah.
You know what, Eric? We just might actually get away with this.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow will be John Adams Legends, and you want to know the best part?
What's that?
Your parents don't have a clue.
Exactly. Look, when you found out, we tried to turn it into your anniversary party.
In fact, I stayed up all night inviting people.
All night, huh?
Oh, gee, all that time and effort.
You know, a card would have done it. Even that would have shown some thought.
But this just shows that your friends mean more to you than your parents.
No, it wasn't that.
Well, then what?
I just wanted one night, you know? I mean, one night where I'd be remembered.
So did we.
That was just a dagger. And you know what? It was deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where the complicated emotions come for me now. Because my whole life I've related to Cory and Eric, and now that I'm on the other end, I fully could understand where Amy and Alan are coming from, and the hope of our kids didn't forget, and our kids, you know, are going to do something special for us. Like,
Yeah, because like Alan said, you know, a card would have been fine, you know, just some little expression. But you guys led us to believe that you were putting on this party, because they got them there. They were brought there under the impression that there's something here for you.
Yep.
And clearly it was not. Not only did you bring us here under false pretenses, but you really brought us here under false pretenses. We were not anywhere near priority one.
yeah. Well, and there are some people that do not want attention on them whatsoever. I have family that zero attention whatsoever. Don't want it. Don't need it. Will never do it. Like, I've never minded attention. Hence why I'm no problem being on a podcast. But like, not everyone wants that. So like, you don't have to do a surprise party for people, but something simple, even a card, something from the heart, something that means something, you know, is enough. So, unfortunately for my parents, they spent most of their anniversaries at a baseball game, and it'd be like sitting at the baseball game, and all of a sudden they turn to each other like, "Oh, hey, by the way, happy anniversary."
Yeah. So, Alan and Amy are gonna go try and gather all the relatives, go to a restaurant, go home, get some coffee maybe. And Cory, Jedediah brings the finished guitar by, which gives Cory an idea to try to make things right. He's going to get the band to. He finds Gordy, figures out what their wedding song was, their first dance. He's going to try to get the band to play it, but they weren't on the list, so Frankie sent him home. And Topanga goes off on Frankie.
Tippy, have you been eating meat?
We get the Topanga nickname of Tippy again. We got it once before, but Tippy has been perhaps had. She explains that Frankie the Mall Rat, which I love the reference, because good-looking people, Frankie was in Mallrats.
Nice.
But she explains that he sent away the band, and they can't play the song, and she may have had a meatball.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'll say, if they're mostly vegetarians because of Topanga being angry when she eats meat, I get it.
I get it, yeah. If it's because of her temperament when she has meat, I'm on board. But the instruments are here, so Jedediah is going to hop up, Gordy's going to hop up, and Reginald Fairfield.
Reginald Fairfield.
Yeah, we did forget to mention that he just showed up with Gordy, because apparently Gordy didn't have an option.
I didn't have an option. You were sitting in my car. And so Reg is going to join on vocals, and they're going to play "My Girl," which was Alan and Amy's song, which it's an expression. It is something from the heart from Cory, who gives Eric credit, that convinces them to stay, and they share a dance.
Yeah, I mean, giving them that opportunity, and it's also like, it's a good melody, like it's a good version of the song. So
it is. They do a really good job with it.
It's a nice moment. But I mean, like, I would say it's the effort of, hey, what's the song? This is the song. Okay, can the band play? Band's gone. Well, are you willing to play then? Like, those little things, like trying to do something nice for your parent in that moment, that is probably what they appreciated, you know? And letting their parents have a moment to reminisce and be themselves. So,
yeah, that effort is, that kind of heart shows that Cory really does care about his parents, and that's really all they're looking for, is just that kind of expression of love. And so then the band goes into another song from the Monkees catalog, and we kind of, we of course, we already talked about Eric and Wanda during the slow dance portion. And then we get to the tag where Alan has apparently tried to foist Reginald Fairfield off on Gordy, who then tries to foist him off on Jedediah, who has a freestanding guest house. Not surprised, since he's making instruments for Bruce Springsteen. And then this manager, this manager who was really impressed with the band earlier. And by the way, I mentioned him way back in Band on the Run, but I didn't give his information. This is Dave Madden, second of his 2 appearances on Boy Meets World. He did pass away in 2014. 10 acting credits to his name, including Bewitched, Charlotte's Web, Happy Days, Starsky and Hutch, The Love Boat, Married with Children, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and others, but mostly known for his role of managing the Partridge Family.
Yep.
He wants to manage the band because they could be bigger than the Beatles, which they don't agree with, and we're out. But this is the last time we will see Peter Tork playing Jedediah Lawrence. So thank you for your service, Peter.
Yes, thank you.
You are probably my favorite. Not probably. You are my favorite Jedediah Lawrence.
Yep, my favorite too.
And yeah, Mickey Dolenz, thank you for your service. This is the last time we will see you as Gordy or Norm. I really love his banter with Alan. I wish we did get a little more of him.
Yeah, that is probably one of the saddest parts about this show. And I get that we're going towards more school, more teenagers, all that jazz, but they could have had plenty of characters for the parents to interact with, showing that as parents, you still have a life with your kids, like outside of your kids. Like, you could have had more episodes of Eric or Alan being with buddies and whatnot. And I get he chose to spend more time with his kids, but there's no reason why Gordy couldn't have showed up again.
Yeah, it didn't have to be a full episode. It could have just been like a scene here and there.
Yeah,
but yes, and that is our episode. I mentioned it at
bigger
the top.
Than the Beatles.
Bigger than the Beatles. Nah. In your deep dives, you go into why they didn't promote their stunt casting here?
I did not know.
Okay. Good-looking people, if you're not aware, Peter Tork, Jedediah, Mickey Dolenz, Gordy, and Davy Jones, Reginald Fairfield.
Reginald Fairfield.
These guys composed the group The Monkees, who had their own TV show and everything. They were kind of the American response to the Beatles. There was a 4th member, Michael Neesmith, who the producers tried desperately to get him to appear in this episode, and he did not want to appear. He was on the set that day during filming, but he didn't want to be on the show itself. And because he was not going to be on the show itself, ABC refused to promote the other 3's guest appearance on the on-air advertising because they weren't all 4 appearing. And so that's why there was no promotion of the stunt casting, because they only had 3/4 of the Monkees.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
It is. Yeah. So, as we get into this part of the episode, we're going to find out what Tyler's deep dives are.
People, 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 people. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
So, first off, quite often in this show, for some odd reason, 1975 is used all the time for anything that was like before the show started. Because, or 1978, I meant. So 1978 is as the Collider opening and Eric being on the Collider and riding it around and around and around. 1978, in this episode, they say that's when they went to Europe in August. So the Collider opened in June. They went to Europe in August. So for whatever reason, they left a little toddler, Eric, to do a backpacking trip, apparently. And then 1978, I am born. So Eric is born that year as well. Like, I don't know if there is just a, like, one of the writers, like, has an affinity for that year, if they got married that year, or their first child was born that year, but, or if it was just a Michael Jacobs thing, but, like, this year is constantly used as a placeholder for any time that is, like, before the show.
I think it probably was just a big year for a lot of the staff, whether it's a Jacobs thing or a couple of the head writers.
Yeah,
I haven't gone into the history of any of the staff really to see, but I think that probably is the most likely answer.
Also, the show often will say that whatever the date of the episode airing is the date of everything that's happening. So if we're to believe the date of the episode airs is November 17th, 1995, so that means 20 years before November 17th, 1975 was a Monday. Now, initially I thought that's ridiculous. Why would they do that? But Alan Amy has spoken very openly that they eloped, that they got married without other people's permission, and they just went out and did it. So, there's a chance. Maybe it was a early morning Monday. It was a Sunday when they went out, but they decided to get married, or it was first thing Monday morning at the courthouse. But they, eloped, got married without anyone else being there. So, for them, Monday seems reasonable to get married. Most other people wouldn't get married on a Monday, but when you elope, you elope. So,
yep.
Let's talk about raves. A rave is a dance party at a warehouse, club, or other public or private venues, typically featuring performances by DJs playing electronic dance music. The system is most associated with the early 1990s dance music scene. DJs played at illegal events, and musical style dominated the electric dance music from a wide range of subgenres. Raves are kind of this 90s thing. It does still continue a little bit. When I was driving for Coach, I was driving a young lady to a rave. That was kind of funny. Mostly considered a 90s thing. I most often think about the Saved by the Bell college years, whenever they were throwing an illegal rave inside of a classroom, and that was a huge deal. So let's talk about, for a moment, marriages around 20 years. I found an article that was from 2013, and just kind of gets into some statistics about marriage, especially around the 20th marker, taking from data collected in the 2010s. The percentage of marriages ending in divorce increases more rapidly in the first 10 years of marriage than the 10 years after that. Once the 20th wedding anniversary is reached, the percentage increases less rapidly. Conversely, the percentage of marriages that end because of one spouse has died increases less rapidly in the first 40 years of marriage than in the 10 years after that. This is because people are more likely to die at an older age, so mortality has a bigger impact on those who have been married for a long time. Meanwhile, 42% of all marriages are estimated to end eventually in divorce, or other factors are likely to influence the likelihood of divorce of individuals, including length of marriage, year of marriage, age at marriage, whether married before. Let's talk about phrenology. Reginald Fairfield stated that he was studied at the Oxford School of Phrenologist. It's a Greek word, basically comes from the word mind or logic, logos. It is a pseudoscience that involves the measurements of bumps on a skull to predict mental traits. It is based on concepts that the brain is the organ of the mind, and it contains brain areas that have localized specific functions or modules. It was said that the brain was consumed of different muscles, so those that were used more often were bigger, resulting in different skull shapes that led to reasoning behind why someone has bumps on the skull in different locations. The brain, quote-unquote, muscles not being used as frequently remained small and weren't therefore not present in exterior of the skull, although both of these ideas have a bias. In reality, phrenology generalized beyond empirical knowledge in a way that departed from science. The central phrenology notion that measures the contour of the skull can predict personal traits decredited of empirical research developed by German physician Franz Joseph Gall in 1796. The discipline was influenced in the 19th century, especially from about 1810 until 1840. The principal British center of phrenology was in Edinburgh, where the Edinburgh Phrenology Society was established in 1820. Phrenology is today recognized as a pseudoscience. Methodological rigor of the phrenology was doubtful even for the standard of time, since many authors already regarded phrenology as a pseudoscience in the 19th century. So basically, I don't know if this is a thing that the show actually wanted to show, that, hey, this is a reason why can see these things. If it just sounded cool, if it's something that they knew about, but yeah, no, it's got nothing. The show is claiming that this trip they were on takes place in August 18th, 1978. We've already discussed my concerns with 1978 being used, and I clearly need to go back and look more. But something that I think a lot of our audience would be interested to know is that although there's not considered a famous birthday, however, the character known as Peralta from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, acted by Adam Sandberg, was considered to be born in the show in August 18th, 1978, in Berkeley, California. So it's not a real thing, but, you know, if someone was born then, this would be part of Gen X. Chinese horoscope would be a horse, and star sign would be a Leo. And on the music charts, apparently biggest song at the time was 3 Times a Lady. I have no idea what that song is. But speaking of music, let's talk about the special musical guests, which I know we talked about before. But the Monkees were an American pop band formed in Los Angeles in 1966. They were conceived in 1965 as a fictional band for the sitcom The Monkees. So the music credited to the Monkees appeared in the sitcom from 1966 to 1968. While the sitcom was mostly a straightforward affair The music production, generally tension and controversy almost from the beginning. The music supervisor was dissatisfied with the quartet music abilities, and he limited their involvement during the recording process. Well, that's a sad thing. We don't want to talk about that. So some songs from theirs that are very important and very memorable would be Last Train to Clarksville, I'm a Believer, A Little Bit of Me, A Little Bit of You, Pleasant Valley Sunday, and Daydreaming Believer. Yes, and of course, thank you, Brett, for mentioning what you mentioned before about the Monkees. So My Girl is their apparent, their song. My Song is a soul music song recorded by The Temptations for the Gordy Motown record label, written and produced by the Miracles members, Smokey Robinson and Ronald White. It became The Temptations' first U.S. #1 single and is currently their signature song. Robin's inspiration for writing My Girl was his wife. Released in 1965. In 2017, the song was selected for preservation in the National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historical, or artistically significant. Oh, I'm sorry. Release date was December 21st, 1964, apparently. Famous covers of this song include, not limited to, Michael Jackson, Otis Redding, Stevie Wonder, Jamaica Sound System, Marvin Gaye, Alan Green, the Mamas and the Papas, Robin Morris, Rolling Stones, Smokey Robbins. Oh, Dolly Parton apparently had a version. Several big names have sang this song before. The other song in question is Not Fade Away. It's a song accredited to Buddy Holly, originally under his first and middle name, Charles Hardin, and Norman Petty, although Petty co-wrote. Credit is likely to have been a formality. The first recording by Holly and his band, The Crickets, in October. It was released in October 27th, 1957. It's been covered by The Grateful Dead, by Rush, Tanya Tucker, don't know who that is, John Silkfield, and Florence and the Machines. Popular songs from Once Upon a Time, both of these two. Great versions, and honestly, they carry these songs quite well, and it's really impressive. So, yeah, those are your deep dives.
Well, let's find out what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh?
Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
So, Tyler, what did you learn this week?
I learned this week that if you're going to do something nice for someone, make sure you're intentional about it. Mm-hmm. Being aware of dates is very, very helpful. With Facebook, it makes it easier. But, yeah, if you're going to decide you're going to throw a party, throw that party. And it's okay to throw a party a different time. Like, if they had waited a few weeks and then did a party, their parents would still appreciate that. It's not on that day, but, you know, waiting a little bit and doing something well is better than what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, my learning is along the same lines. It's don't miss the details. You know, a lot of times it's not a big extravagant event that people need to see that they're appreciated. It's just something small that, you know, it's a card, it's a phone call, it's a text message even. Show, and especially your parents, good-looking people, no matter how old you are, your parents need to know how much you appreciate them. I know some of you might not have a great relationship with your parents. And I get that. I'm not telling you if you had abusive parents, you need to reach out to them. But if you have a relationship with your parents, send them a text, send them a card, give them a phone call, stop by and say, hey, you know what? I appreciate everything you did for me. Just focus on the small stuff, because that's what is really going to leave the biggest mark.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So.
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
How would you grade this episode? Well, I'm actually gonna give this one. I'm going with an A+.
Wow.
Yeah, I know there's some episode stuff with it, and there's some inconsistencies. But as a parent, I can't miss the mark of the message. And there's some inconsistencies. I can sometimes on an episode I can't get past them. It really trips me up because they're just glaring. But the inconsistencies on this one are not. They don't stand out for me. They're easy to walk by because the rest of the episode carries so much heart to it and so much of a believable message to it. So for me, it's an A+.
No, that's fair. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. But I have to go with my gut feeling based on what you said and all what I was feeling beforehand. Because initially my range was roughly like A- to B-. I couldn't give it an A or an A+. I knew that for sure. But I've always enjoyed this episode. I'm going to have to go with a B+ at this point. Because I really do like this episode. This is an episode I'll watch quite often. This is one of my wife's favorites. So I'm sure I'm going to get heckled for that. But no, this is still a great episode. This is one I go out of my way to watch. So, but for whatever reason, I just can't go into the A tier. It's probably just due to the now I'm a parent and worried about things like, will my kids actually care about things that are important to us, like anniversaries? So, but keeping in mind that for a lot of people's 20th, your kids are teenagers and they don't have the funds to be able to do a bunch of things. And the fact that you're able to somehow fund a illegal rave is still questionable to me.
Especially since Eric doesn't have a job.
Yeah, somehow doesn't have a job.
It's all the money from the sleep research from last week.
Yeah. I want to double it.
I mean, half. And then double it. All right. Well, I believe I owe you a dad joke before we sign off here.
Yes, you do.
All right. So in honor of it being October and spooky season, I'm branching out in my reading. And so I started reading a horror book in Braille. Didn't know I could do that, did you?
No, I didn't.
But something bad is going to happen. I can feel it.
Nice.
All right. So,
oh gosh.
That is going to be it. That's going to be it for us this week. Good-looking people. We thank you for joining us. We know your podcasting selection is wide, and hey, we have fun with you. You can check us out online on our socials at dadsmeetworld, Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And you can send us an email, dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. We will respond. And you can pick out some sweet Dads Meet World merch at dadsmeetworld.threadless.com. I miss anything, Tyler?
No.
Okay. Are you going to go listen to Taylor Swift? Are you going to Taylor Swift's Eras tour in theaters?
Ooh, I was thinking about that. We may have to go see that, me and the wife.
Hey, Can't go to the stadium tour. That's too expensive. So maybe the theater is the way to go.
Maybe.
Yeah, I couldn't do the theater. Well, I couldn't do the stadium if I wanted to. Not that I do.
There
Anyway.
you go again. Just need to talk about T-Swift. I get it, man. You got T-Swift on the brain.
I do. I'm a Swiftie.
They want you to take the roles.
They do. Well, with that,
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
I'll see ya.
See you good looking.
You can find Dads Meet World on Facebook, Twitter, and probably a few other places just by searching for Dads Meet World. Dads Meet World is a production of Head First Studios. Head First Studios. Tell your story. Yeah, I gotta bring that up here. Where'd it go here?
Don't worry, I'll do it for us. You didn't like my edition, did you?
That's gonna be it for us this week.